Hakeem Dermish here with Matt Norlander and Adam Finkelstein, and the big news of the day, Solo Ball did not practice here on Sunday at Lucas Oil Stadium, dealing with a foot sprain he suffered in Saturday's game against Illinois, and he's also dealing with a wrist injury that he suffered back in December. Matt, what's the latest on Solo Ball here?
Well, there is no word over whether he will play. Didn't practice. Was an unusual scene in that you typically, if you've got a player like that that suffers an injury, maybe not made immediately available to the media. I appreciate that he was. Axel Lendeborg was undergoing treatment. We'll get to more of him in a second. But this is pure guessing and speculation from my end. I think that he will play, and I can promise you that Michigan is preparing as though Solo Ball will be on the floor.
I think all of that is true, but the bottom line is we're going to see more of Jaden Ross, and that might actually play to UConn's advantage here because they are so undersized in this matchup. They have that three-guard lineup typically with Demery, Solo Ball, and Braylon Mullins. If Ball goes out, you move Mullins over to the 2, bring in Jaden Ross at the 3. It makes you not only a little more athletic, a little bigger, but also much better defensively. So I don't want to say this is a blessing in disguise, but they certainly have the depth to absorb this type of loss. If it
you mentioned Axel Lendeborg also banged up, left MCL sprain, also dealing with an ankle injury as well. You spoke with him. What did he say about his status for Monday night?
Well, Michigan, I think from a proper formal standpoint, is saying, you know, see how it goes. I can read the tea leaves here. Axel Lendeborg will be playing. I expect him to be starting. He was receiving tons of treatment today, understandably. Not practicing with Michigan on Sunday. They don't need him to practice. They know what he's capable of. We saw what he told me on HQ after the game on Saturday night. Think he is... it would take a miracle to keep him off the floor. I fully expect him to start and to be a serious contributor.
I couldn't agree more, but I think it does impact them schematically. This is someone who's been their secondary ball handler with LJ Kaysen out of the lineup. He's defended other teams' point guards. Do they still put him on Silas Demery? If he's not 100%, I would be very skeptical of that. What does it do to their matchups? How much do they switch if he's not as mobile? Those are really important keys because I do think the matchups are a really important subplot here as both of these coaches try and organize their chessboard going into Monday night.
And key to know, I was told Axel got that MRI before 9 a.m. here on Easter Sunday, and as Desime told the press when he spoke at his press conference, it came back clean. So it's just all about recovery, keep the swelling down, get him as physically ready as possible for obviously the biggest game of his career.
Michigan, the overwhelming favorite, the first team to score 90 points and win by double digits in 5 games in a single NCAA tournament. So, Adam, what's the blueprint to beat the Maize and Blue?
All right, let's start with the basics. The first thing is tempo. You look back at the teams that have been able to beat Michigan. They have controlled the tempo of the game. They have kept this from getting in the 90s. Look at Purdue. Look at Duke. The second thing, you have to say, we're going to make Elliot Cadeau beat us on the offensive end. And that means you're going to have a lot of bluff and recover. Try and force him into turnovers, but not give him those passing lanes. And then if he gets deep, I think UConn's going to try and make him finish. They're not going to collapse on him. They're going to try and force him into a score. Now, offensively, there's a lot that you can expect from this team. Michigan last night really did a great job of going under ball screens, forcing Arizona into tough twos. Go back to that Purdue game. There's a blueprint there you can follow. Purdue re-screened the Michigan bigs. When Adebayo backs up and he goes in drop coverage, you screen him twice, you're able to get downhill, you're able to get closer paint shots, and then you do something called the Gortat, which is where Terrace Reed, who's one of the best screeners in the country, he re-screens the big guy himself, re-screens Mara himself. UConn ran that same action in an ATO at 6 minutes last night, and I know I'm getting into the basketball weeds here, but that stuff is what you can expect from a Dan Hurley coach team given 48 hours of prep. The nuance of this scheme is going to be absolutely key tonight.
Okay, a couple things from me here. One, Terrace Reed has to have another incredible game. To me, if he doesn't have a double-double with the points, upward of 18, 19, 20, and the boards and getting 33, 34 minutes on the floor, that's going to be tough. But also, keep this in mind, when Michigan was able to beat Arizona the way it did, and talking to the staff, it was the blueprint that they used to just romp Gonzaga back in November, because obviously Tommy Lloyd, the Gonzaga connection. Well, that doesn't apply here with UConn. UConn has more variety and actions on its sets than quite literally almost anyone in all of college basketball. I talked to Dusty May on HQ about that turnaround. It presents a different kind of challenge there. So the variety, the change of pace, that's the other thing that could be working in UConn's advantage, and also the experience here. The staff quite literally has never lost Sweet 16 or beyond the past 6
And
seasons.
one more thing, they cannot switch with Mara tomorrow night. UConn will absolutely punish them. There's a lot of talk, they're just going to switch everything everything. We don't know if they can do that with Yaxel. We know they can't do that with Mara because UConn shooters will pick them apart. So it does present an extra element of that challenge.
Well, like UConn in 23 and 24, Michigan is blowing teams out of the water. And we always talk about the word legacy. We toss it around a lot. And most coaches will tell you they want to leave the program better than they found it, right? For Dan Hurley, it's about sustaining success. And you think about what he has a chance to accomplish. He can become the 7th head coach with at least 3 national titles. He would join the legends of the game. Wooden, Coach K, Bobby Knight, Roy Williams, and former UConn coach Jim Calhoun. I mean, this is the kind of stuff where you're on Mount Rushmore of college basketball for Dan Hurley in terms of what this game represents for him.
Unequivocally, he would move into one of the top 10 coaches in the history of men's college basketball. The undeniable, and you can have him move him in the top 10 and he won't be 10, one of those deals. So there's that element to it. I know they just announced the newest class of Hall of Famers, Mark Few leading that on the men's college basketball side. Maybe we update the press release for Tuesday morning because Hurley, he's already going there, but like we can fast track this. And then if Hurley can coach UConn to a 3rd title in 4 years, that would be 19-1 in the tournament in that span. The only loss coming to the eventual national champions in a 1-possession game, oh, by the way, last season. You would have an outright and undeniable modern college basketball dynasty, a modern sports dynasty. This should not even be possible in this era, and I don't think it's repeatable in the generation to come. So that's what's at stake on the UConn side.
Clip the tape from last year. He spoke it into existence. If he wins tomorrow night, he is the best darn coach in the sport. It will be undeniable, even from those who want to boo him. Simply undeniable. One of the greatest of all time will be undeniable as well. I agree with you. He's already in Springfield. It's done. 2 national championships in a row will do that to you, but this would put him on an absolutely elite level.
A legacy game for Dusty May as well. Both coaches were at the 2023 Final Four. Dusty losing that game on a buzzer beater to San Diego State, and then of course UConn cutting down nets there in Houston. For Dusty May, his 2nd season, success very quick, and consider he took over a program that was 8-24, and now he's got him playing for a national championship, Matt.
Yeah, and think about the circumstances he takes that job after being at FAU, the Final Four the year before, got them back to the tournament, and here, if he can get Michigan a national championship, obviously the Big Ten drought will come to an end. We don't have to talk about that ever again. I'll be more than okay if that's the case because we talk about it every preseason in the sport. But beyond that, Dusty May with a national championship would move definitively into the conversation of one of the best coaches in all of college basketball. I also think that if you can get the title for Michigan, like just to tangibly get it, to get that trophy, Fink, you boost up Michigan's prestige profile within men's college basketball to have it in that uppermost echelon, and in the process, Dusty May moves into that undeniable conversation of top 10 coaches in the sport.
I think among his peers, he's already there.
Yeah.
I think everyone holds him in very high esteem. The other thing I will say is in this era, Dusty has such an understanding of how to navigate the portal, NIL. I think the threat of the Indiana job last year is a big part of why they're here this year, because he understood how to parlay that into a better situation at Michigan. More resources for himself, for the program, more buying power to get you the type of depth and just talent that it takes to get to a place like this. He understands how this era works. A lot of coaches complain about it. Dusty is thriving in it.
No question about it.
First ever meeting in the NCAA tournament between these two schools. When UConn gets to this point, they don't lose 6-0 in national title games. Michigan doesn't care about that fact. What do you care about? Your pick, who you got on Monday night?
I'm going to go with Michigan. I actually just spoke to the Michigan staff a short while ago because I had picked Arizona.
Yeah.
I had done some intel reconnaissance in the days leading up to it, and I had shared that I was going to pick Arizona. That was used against me. My face was shown behind closed doors to the Michigan players. It wasn't just mine, but they were aware that I became public enemy #1. I'll say it into the camera again. I'm picking Michigan to win the national championship. You can't use this against me anymore. I am now free. I do think UConn's experience on this stage, in this type of game, and I almost want to speak this into existence because I want to cover the best game possible. I will take UConn to keep it closer than Arizona did. There is definitely a scenario in which we are talking here late on Monday about Michigan mowing down another opponent, winning another game by double digits. I don't think they can get to 90 with that defensive UConn. I'll take Michigan. I'll even toss you a score, 78. 72, 79, 72, something like that. Maize and Blue cuts down the nets.
Well, I'd like to congratulate you for getting off of Dusty May's bad list, and congratulate you for getting on Dan Hurley.
It's inevitable.
So I think you had it better a day ago, but we'll see how that goes. The bottom line is everybody's picking Michigan. Michigan is the favorite. Michigan looked absolutely dominant. Inevitable was the word I think you used last night. They were phenomenal. UConn's going to have to play a nearly perfect game plan. Where I will differ with you just a little bit respectfully is I feel like this one is either 5 or less, like it's a 1 or 2 possession game, or Michigan runs away with it. I think it's either or. I think it's sink or swim. We'll see if UConn has the bodies, the durability, the health, the three-point shooting, and the good whistle, because they're going to need to play a nearly flawless game.
And one last thing, we haven't mentioned Alex Caravan's name on this hit. It's his final game. I have to imagine for UConn to have a chance, he's got to show up, hit 3, 4, maybe 5 threes. He's got the range. We'll see how much of an impact he is in his final college game.
Looking to win a 3rd national championship, and Dan Hurley issued a warning 6 years ago. After a loss to Villanova, he said, quote, "People better get us now, that's all. You better get us now, because it's coming." UConn coming for another national championship on Monday night here in Lucas Oil Stadium.
Thank you, fellas. It's Huskies and Wolverines for all the marbles. UConn going for its 3rd title in 4 years. While